everybody, welcome back. This is to Sharc Doc Talk. It's harder to say than you think. I'm Doc T. This is Dr. Deonson. We are in today. We're going to have a few things to talk about. We're going to start off with our weekly check-in, of course, just kind of see where everybody is, and we'll kind of go from there. So lead us off.
Oh, yeah. My week overall has been a little mellow in terms of patients.
Everybody's on vacation.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah.
Part of it, too, is like I was looking at my main demographic of patients. I tend to have a bunch of, like, college age.
You're starting the podcast off with demographics.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make it make
It's
sense.
supposed to be light and fun. Okay. You sucked them in with demographics. Statisticians, pay attention.
It's like more on the college age, young professional type of
Sure.
thing. So a lot of them are like either going on vacation or, you know, they're either coming back from school. So I have this like weird middle.
Interim, yeah. We have those kind of things. We're transitioning out.
So that's mostly been my week. I know we've been kind of keeping up with my knee here. It was fun for me last week. My coach was in town. He lives in San Francisco. I almost said San Diego. Totally opposite.
One of the sands.
Yeah, totally opposite side of California. He was in town, so we got to train again, and I was able to push it a little bit more because I was feeling good. And I'm not hurting.
So it's so much.
Yeah. So
nothing better than training and not having pain.
oh yeah, yeah. So obviously I was sore, but I wasn't sore like from the joint. I was just more sore because
Muscles.
I
Haven't used them in a while.
haven't used them in a while.
I'm feeling the
so
same way.
Yeah.
We'll get to me in a second, but go ahead. Yes.
But yeah, that's generally my week. Nothing super exciting, but not every week has to be exciting.
You know, my mom taught me something once. She called and she said, "How's everything going?" I said, "That's good." I said, "Anything exciting going on?" I said, "No, it's pretty mellow, pretty normal."
Yeah.
And she's like, "That's fantastic." And I said,
Yeah.
"What do you mean?" She goes, "That means no chaos.
Yeah.
The calmer the week, the better." And I was like, you know, as I get older, I appreciate that more.
Yeah.
Very funny. All right. And any patient check-ins?
Patient check-ins. It's more just like with a couple of patients that I've had, they've finished out their like packages. We've accomplished what we wanted to. So the question that we brought up now is like, hey, what's next?
Yeah.
So we've kind of roadmapped a couple are liking the plan, couple are saying like the benefits of it.
Sure.
They're in the deciding portions of it all. And
You know what? I'll tell you right off the bat, and for people out there listening who are watching that do like watching this stuff with us, the bottom line is, as much as it can sound salesman-y or salesperson-y, what do you want to call it?
Yeah.
And I say this to my patients all the time now, way more than I used to. But there is a need. If you're going to train 5-6 days a week, not just you, but them, high rocks, triathlons. I have a guy who's a master swim at 69.
Yeah.
He told me today there's a guy 90 that, you know, he has to cane himself up. Buddy helps him on the platform. He falls in the water, and he's the fastest kid in the pool.
That's awesome.
At 90, right? It's like, so the bottom line is if you're going to treat your body that way, you're going to have to get work done.
Oh, yeah.
I'm tired with... I get frustrated when I see this, like, oh, it's, you know, you shouldn't eat it all the time, this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, you need water all the time. You need food all the time. You need air because you're human. You want your tissues to function properly.
Yeah.
So why not? And what we do, our particular skill set, we have a particular set of skills that with ART or just soft tissue work that we do and the rehab stuff, like, I've yet to have a person take off for 4 weeks and come back for, we call it a maintenance or continuity kind of thing.
Yeah.
Come back in, just get worked over. A tune-up. Tune-up was a big one too. Get that tune-up done. And then they feel great again. And so it's like, they see me, they feel amazing. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, back to see me again, back up again.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying come in more often. It's just that, you know, out of sight, out of mind. So if you're doing rehab well and you're eating, probably drinking, sleeping, training properly, doing all that stuff, when I'm in your world or you, I know I'm going to see you in a few weeks.
Yeah.
I don't want to walk in, accountability coach, and go, I didn't do.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to say that. So I want to say I did these things.
Yep.
Right? So he's going to edit that out and bleep it. So
I kind of have to.
anyway, I'm just going to have to say more. But the bottom line is when you think of yourself, and this is what our patients do. You think of yourself as a weekend warrior, but I'll tell you one thing different. You prioritize the gym or training or whatever it is you do.
Yeah.
So you prioritize beating yourself up, right? Because that's what training really is.
Yeah.
You're paying to play.
Yeah.
So you're paying to beat yourself up. By the way, a little borderline insanity right there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm the same guy. You're the same guy.
Yeah,
We understand it.
Yeah.
And I've only really picked up on this in the sense of like this is, I've gotten myself worked on more frequently now, more consistently. I feel better. Just not what my owie was, but just in general.
Yeah.
So when people come in, it's like it shouldn't even be a conversation. It should be, I'll see you in 3 weeks.
Yep.
That's it. We're going to do that for a few cycles. If it's too soon, we'll go 4 or 5 weeks. If it's too far out, we'll see you in 2. That should just be the normal conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One of my patients is getting it right now. She's great. It was funny at the top of the year. She said, "Yeah, I'm just gonna try a couple high Roxys and see if I like
I love
it."
when people say I'm going to try it.
Yeah,
I'm going to try an ultra marathon. It's like, you don't try that.
I was like, "You're already in." So, but yeah, she's trying to get to one in I think December or November around that time, where it's like pro level stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. You went from trying to that, so there's a lot of transitions that have to happen.
There's a little bit, yeah.
So, yeah, we're talking some stuff over. So there's some exciting stuff to talk about in general in her visits. Because, like, I mean, I know we always think chiropractic as just the manual therapy stuff, at least generally when you're talking about all that. But like, we do more than that. And
I think chiropractic's pigeonholed in just adjusting.
Yeah.
Like when we say rehab, they're like, what do you do, an ice pack? It's like a hot pack. It's like, no, we're a little more involved in that.
Yeah.
So there's definitely, one of the things we're going to talk about later, but like, we're a different niche.
Yeah.
We're just a different person. That's it.
And
so
that's kind of like where we are right now. So there's a lot of like planning for the end of the year here with my overall patients, and it's kind of fun.
Nice.
Yeah. How was your last week here?
Sorry, I feel like I cut him off and went on a tangent.
You're okay.
We edit that out and maybe we can cut and paste to the back end.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll find out.
We'll see.
Clips.
Mine was good. We had a swim meet for my kids. My daughter, for the first time in her swim career, not just showed up for one event, every single event. I think 2.4 seconds was the shortest amount of time she cut off. One of them was something like 25 or 30 seconds. So that tells me two things. One,
sandbag.
Parents are right all the time. And two, sandbagger.
Yep.
Like, what are you doing? So she was happy. It was a great weekend for her. Nothing but accolades. Gave her a day off. She was great. Otherwise, patience-wise, the rowing girls, I just got notice this morning.
Yeah.
I saw one of the girls came back because half of them are off to Europe to do the Henley, another big race. But they said half of one boat got food poisoning or something.
Ooh,
so that was not good.
Not fun.
She called it questionable tacos.
Where were they?
Sarasota, Florida.
I mean, they should. I'm not going to.
No comment.
Yeah.
Mystery meat is mystery meat no matter where you are in the world, right?
Yeah.
And I guess they came in with chicken rice the next day and they're all like, we're going to order pizza. I'm like, at least if it's bad food, like not quality, at least you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And generally, pizza is not going to make you sick, generally speaking. So anyway, they had their top boat, I think, or I shouldn't say that. One of the boats took second. One took third. Another one, so in boat and crew, they have levels. So like, A, B, and C. C being the lowest, kind of on the total. A being your pros, almost your superstars. They went from a C to a B. Now I'm screwing this up, so crew people, don't. I forgot the whole thing. It's been a long time, but basically they got bumped up a level, which means they're racing against people they should not beat.
I see.
And they finished, I think, 6th out of 8.
That's not bad.
And I always told her that all the teams I've ever coached in my entire life, we've all got to a game, you coach basketball, where you're going to compete against a team that you cannot beat. So our goal was always take something from them they didn't expect you. So score on them, stop them from scoring. If it's I guess beat one of the two of those boats.
Yeah.
Because that's a victory right there for your own sanity.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun. But yeah, so they did great. The patients I had in there all, from what I understand, everybody did fine.
That's
Only
good.
had one poor young lady that has a low back issue. She's 6'1" and 120 pounds. So she's very petite build.
Just the levers.
Yeah, and a very powerful sport.
Yeah.
So that was a really hard. Apparently, from what I got, she made it through, and they did fine. I think the other ones took third, and now she's on a road trip with some friends and family or whatever, and have to do the thing. But she seems to be okay. So knock on wood. Everything seemed to be good. So it was good. And then as far as I'm concerned, my back, we're doing much better. Like I said earlier, I'm getting treated consistently. Do as I say, not as I do. Magical. Like it really is. What we do is actually kind of fascinating. So it was pretty cool. So rehab's going well. I did the stair climber 2 days ago for 20 minutes. I emphasized like stair climbing, not just shuffling. My glutes are still sore. Right one actually is really sore. I got this morning to go to bed and I was like, what the? Felt like somebody kicked me in the glutes. So
nice.
Yeah, that was the week.
Have you tried 7 pounds on the deadlift yet or no?
So I've avoided those for now.
Okay.
Until I don't feel it doing anything. Meaning, bending over, pick something up, sitting in a chair. Like after this podcast will finish up, we'll see how I stand.
Yeah.
And I've revamped some rehab stuff. I'm kind of digging in a little bit because we haven't really landed the plane on exactly what it is that's going on. Although we're getting closer.
Yeah.
Some concepts. So it's an interesting thing to try to diagnose yourself.
Yeah.
And then figure it out when you can't do anything. Like I can't assess myself. I can't Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely funny. I think that also brings it up for whether you're a new doc or even an older doc. The whole concept of like being really accurate your first diagnosis.
It's impossible.
You could land it right off the bat if you ask a bunch of
unless
questions.
it's a trauma.
Yeah, or if it's just blatantly like, oh, this is 100% without a doubt a disc issue because you show all the textbook stuff. Like, there's that.
And even that
happen.
might be today, not tomorrow.
Yeah, but we call it the working diagnosis.
Yeah,
so
there's a reason for that.
As a student, I think you guys should know this too. If a student's watching, the diagnosis could change in like 3 weeks.
Or it could be 3.
Yeah, or 3 weeks.
Meaning
Yeah.
not this or that, this or that. It could be you have a knee problem, plus you have a hip problem, plus you have a low back problem. 3 different things going on right now.
100%.
One started the other, who knows? But I actually have one of those too. But it's a fascinating process when so I'm just gonna jump in this.
We have to.
It's gonna lead probably what we're talking about. He came in, he set up an orthopedic appointment with the doc.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I said, what were you expecting the outcome from that? And he goes, I want to take pictures. And I said, okay, let's say you take pictures and you see he's a knee issue, and you see a little arthritis in there, mild, moderate, whatever. You're just going to end up back in here doing the same plan of care.
Yeah.
Like there's no variation in that. Unless we're looking for a torn meniscus or bone spurs or something that really is a limiting factor.
Yeah.
But he didn't really have any of that. So it's interesting because we're trying to help guide a patient to not waste time and money, simultaneously trying to diagnose and help them understand what's going on. Because, I mean, you're still young. You're still a new doc. No offense.
No, yeah, I am.
2 years. I know you should know everything. But you're still going to have those experiences where it's going to take you an extra visit or 2 or a day of thinking about that patient over the weekend. You're like, well, there's this, that, and the other. And then you get 20 years in and you've seen everything. Not everything. Most things.
Yeah.
And so, not that I know everything, it's that you're familiar. So I can see his knees. He's a triathlete. He loves to swim. He goes, all I need to do is jump off the block and get in the pool, and I'll be fine. But that extra couple inch vertical, that's all I need. And I kind of laugh, like I'm like, okay, then let's narrow you in, because we're thinking PRP, some stem cells, something like that that's going to help the tissue quality and health, if you will, because you can't reverse arthritis. Once it's gone, it's gone, right? You can slow it down and even to some degree halt it, depending. If you're a marathon runner and you have knee problems, you're not going to halt anything. You could just slow it down because you're going to keep running. Fine. So he has this thing where we got him to go to our guy, Dr. Goswami, to just go do a quick, he'll do like, quick x-ray, ultrasound, and just see what's going on. But he'll be able to objectively show him, here's what we see on here. So you don't have to worry. If you want to get an MRI, we can, but it's not going to, like, I guess to put it this way, we're not going to take pictures if it's not going to change what we're going to do.
Yeah. No,
and if we haven't tried what we're going to do, because he even admits when you do the exercises, he feels better. When he doesn't, he doesn't. Well, it's like,
and then we got to
if you want to waste $500-$600 on that, go ahead.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. Let's just keep with this. Right? So, yeah, so it's an interesting one. But he did ask me a question that leads us into kind of our topic today, which is orthotics. And he had on, I want to say it was Brooks running shoes. And they were, we call them sofa cushions. I mean, they're thick. And so we started to talk, and he's like, orthotics bad or this or what have you? And I said, well, think of orthotics like a prosthetic. So would you cut your arm off because it hurts and put on a prosthetic so it doesn't hurt anymore? That's kind of what orthotics is. You're going to put in a prosthetic to alter your foot mechanics in a goal to try to not have pain, or as he asked, he said, it aligns your knee. And I was like, I hope nobody told you that. And I hope it didn't say it online, because that's not what it is. The knee is, it's basically a hinge joint, like just like the elbow. It just does this. There's no like lining it up per se. The patella, you could argue, right?
There's a little bit of rotation in the knee.
There's minor rotation, but nothing that's gonna, like the tibia doesn't move over 3 inches.
No,
I gotta line these up again.
Just like that much.
Yeah, it's very negligible, just like pronation, supination in the forearm, but it's a primary hinge joint. So, and even that, the rotation doesn't come about the hinge joint; it comes about the other joint down here. Yeah. Right. So, it's like an interesting thing, and I explained to him, I go, when you put the orthotic in, it takes the foot feedback system to the brain and the rest of the body, and it kind of disables it. So now your foot becomes less functional. So you almost like have a club foot. And I said, that's not really what the foot was designed for. And of course that led into arch support. Arch support was like, well, you already have an arch. Yeah. I think we talked about this once before in the past.
You might have.
Look at a bridge, that's an arch. There's nothing underneath it supporting it, because the whole point of the arch is it's self-supportive. The muscles that help support that arch, that's usually where the problem lies, which is where those shoes kind of inhibit those muscles. Yeah. So you're young, but what's your background with orthotics?
I know. I think at school they were just giving out free scans for orthotics if we needed. Yes. It was part of like the UCI systems. We just kind of had to do it. Yeah. If I'm being honest, I never ordered anyone orthotics off of it, but We just had to do it because
I learned
school.
at foot levels.
Yeah.
Foot levelers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had that. It was a part of their insurance system. But like really how I was thinking about orthotics, I go back to the foot. We talked about the arch in there. Really, just like any part of the human body, the foot is actually very mobile. Like when it goes,
Yeah.
When it goes to actually accept weight, it's a little bit softer, and then when you get to toe off, it's gonna spring back up. So
More
not
rigid,
only,
yeah.
So when we get to this concept of the arch, it's supposed to move. So when you start to put orthotics in there, it might not allow your foot to accept some of that weight as best you can, just because it can't.
Horrible.
Yeah, it can't do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
So my thought on orthotics is that not everyone needs them. So let's try a couple rounds of rehab first to see if we can fix the problem. But let's say you're born with like congenitally flat feet,
Okay.
or it's like completely flat.
Yeah.
Where whenever you're just standing and the inside of the foot is just touching the ground, maybe I would consider it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask a question then. Why?
Why? If there's pain associated, it's worth a try. I don't think it's gonna fix everything.
So here's the learning curve. We love this part.
Yeah.
So to answer that in a way of this way is, if it's congenital, meaning born with, so congenital means I was born as a baby, as I developed and grew, that's how my foot developed. It's not a functional. Most of us have a normal arch, some a little higher than others, whatever, from bone structure, right? But if our bone structure is such that even when they're lying on the table and I'm looking at their foot, it's just flat.
Yeah.
Well, they develop that way. So by putting an orthotic in there, you're actually taking them out of their natural development and forcing in new things that their body's not equipped to handle.
That's fair, yeah.
Right? So that you create an arch now. Well, the muscles don't know what to do with that because that's not what they've been doing.
Yeah.
So now what happens? So it's kind of like throwing a solution at a problem that isn't a problem.
Yeah.
Because we associate pain, like we say with disc, right? I have back pain, must be a disc. Well, there's a few other things that can cause that, right? Calf problems can cause back pain. So there's a lot of things you go down the road, right? But if you get into the medical world where you're like, okay, we have a positive this, positive this. Well, are you examining them at 6 o'clock in the evening or 7 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, those are two different
They've
things.
got a bed or they've been at work all day. So if you got somebody who's driving a UPS truck and I'm going to examine them or MRI them at 6 in the afternoon, you're probably going to find some stuff. Yeah, that's just how gravity works. But if I get you first thing in the morning, it probably might look different. So, and even then, if you have a disc, there's like varying degrees of disc, right? So, orthotic is tricky. So it's funny because you come from school, very smart kid, by the way. I hate to call you kid, but you're half my age, so you're a kid. But when the school even, and this is Cairo school, they sometimes will have the air of the medical side, the medical model of things, right? So the school emphasizes, I went to the same school, emphasizes a diagnostic approach, which is fantastic because as doctors, that's our job. I look at us as being more the rehab doctors and it's kind of sports related. In the sports world, most of the injuries we're going to see are cumulative trauma.
Yeah.
Very easy to figure out where they're going, blah, blah, blah. Other people walking around about the world, whatever, they're going to have more of a dysfunctional cumulative things going on. So no real traumas per se, but just dysfunctional. Hips don't work well. This doesn't work well, blah, blah, blah. So you get stuck with this. Well, let's put an orthotic in because obviously if your foot hurts or your calf hurts or whatever, it has to be because structurally your body isn't perfect like the book says. However, we have to then add the next layer. How did you develop?
Yeah.
So like my kids, my older son especially, his feet dive in a little bit. He's also horrible at running and walking. So he has no good function.
Yeah.
We're changing that, I promise. Be ironic to have a kid, whatever. Anyway, so it's like when my wife threw her back out, I'm like, you can't. You're married to a chiropractor. You cannot throw your low back out. It doesn't make any sense.
It's like mechanics with horrible cars.
It's just,
it's just us.
Where's your car? It's right there. Wow. Do you push it here? I mean, you're a mechanic. A plumbing problem in the house and you're a plumber? Yeah. Anyway, so when you address those things, that's where we, as our base like thought process is, okay, that's the most low-hanging fruit, right? You get an MRI, you see a disc bulge in the MRI, low-hanging fruit, that's the problem. Here you go, take a shot, do this, you're done.
Yeah.
We have to go back to the underlying piece, like what got you here? Again, if it wasn't a car accident, a fall, you jumped off the roof and landed on your heels, some traumatic force. So it was developmental, in other words, just over time. So the foot, same thing. You get something like, I have high arches.
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't mean a thing. I've never had issues. I will say one side joke. Are we at the time where I can joke now?
Yeah,
we can joke. Cool. We like to do 10 minutes of serious and then have some fun.
Yeah, we're at like 20 minutes in. So
yeah, we're good. Went by fast. Wow. So when I played beach volleyball, I lived in flip-flops, board shorts, and T-shirts. Yeah. That was literally what I lived in, right? I had sand on me at least 24/7, even after showers. It was there. Hair, whatever. So I had listened to somebody talk online, and they said how flip-flops are the worst thing on the planet for your feet. Plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, like any ankle area issues, And I laughed going, no, you don't. I'm barefoot most of the day.
Yeah.
Flip-flops was my dress shoe.
Yeah.
Right? I never had foot problems. Ever.
Yeah.
Then my knee gets injured. I have to get a career now because AVP shortened the court and took away my game. I have to blame them. It was actually me. My window was done. I just didn't want to accept it. Still don't. So I was like, okay. So I go into school, pick chiro school, start going down. 3 or 4 years in, all of a sudden, I've got like a plantar fasciitis situation.
Yeah.
I've never had this. And I wear flip-flops on the weekend still, but I'm in school all day. Took me a while to land my plane with this and going, okay, maybe it is the flip-flops. And then I started thinking, okay, and this is the difference between certain minds and other minds. I started breaking it backwards. I said, let's break it down. What did I do, different back then that I don't do now? I was like, well, I was on the sand 4 or 5 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week.
Yeah.
All the time. Have you ever tried to walk on the sand barefoot for an hour?
Well, it sucks.
What hurts?
Your foot.
Your foot muscles are dying. And we always used to joke we would never get our sand legs back, meaning learning how to jump in sand, which is a whole trick to itself. But it's also the feet. And I was like, oh, it's not the flip-flop. I said flop, not flop. It's not the flip-flop that's causing the problem. It's the inactive feet.
Yeah.
So when you wear normal shoes, not like foot-friendly shoes like Vans or Converse, but like normal, Nikes or whatever, the sofa cushions, and you wear those, or even work shoes like high heels for women, or anything with a lift in it, men's shoes for dress shoes are high heels for men, same concept. You start creating this dysfunction within the foot. And then you're sitting, which just makes everything else dysfunctional, right? Hips, everything else. So I go, okay, I went from playing barefoot in the sand hours at a time, jumping constantly hours a day, which means all hip, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing all these things that let me be functional, if you will, not really, but kind of. And then I got away from that. And I was like, so it's not the flip-flops. It's because I'm sitting my butt. I'm at school. Ironically, we sit in the worst contraptions on the planet for 9 hours a day, and we're there to fix the low back, which we would tell somebody not to do that. I always find that ironic. But anyway, so I made this discovery. I figured this out. I'm like, okay, so I went deep dive. So I went to foot levelers. Now, foot levelers, just side note, Sharc had his imprint there.
Oh, yeah.
So they got to bring it out for us. And I'm not joking. If you're not seeing this,
I've seen them,
a foot, over a foot and a half.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 17 inches.
I think, he's like 17, 18.
It was, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's huge.
And I've seen the guy. I've been relatively close, 5-6 feet from him.
Yeah.
But I never thought to look at his foot. And holy shnikes, that thing is monster.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went down this deep dive, and then I started breaking down. Went down the other path. So point being, get to orthotics. No, they're not good for 99.9% of the people.
Yeah.
Now, I told this gentleman the same thing. He's 69. I said, look, if you're having foot issues or knee issues, and you feel like this helps you, and you're going to Europe for 2 weeks with your family for vacation, wear the orthotics.
Yeah.
This is not, it shouldn't be a lifestyle. It can be a prosthetic to help you through a time.
Yeah.
It's like taking Advil. If you can't sleep and you got a migraine, you just got a headache.
Yeah.
And you take some Advil for a bed, that's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
It's going to help you sleep, which is probably going to help you.
Oh, yeah.
So do the thing that helps while you fix the problem that's causing the thing you need help with to begin with.
Oh, yeah. Like if your doctor's saying you use orthotics for the rest of your life, really, I'd have some questions about that. Just mainly because like if I who came off basically 2 traumatic different knee injuries at different times.
Right.
I'll wear a knee brace when I needed to. I'm not walking around with a knee brace right now. It's kind of the same.
But
idea.
the knee brace, like when I give it to a knee brace to a patient, it's to remind them not to do something dumb because it's still hurt. Like it's still not fixed.
Yeah.
So it's more like an accountability coach you put in your knee, strap it on.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to climb stairs. I probably shouldn't climb. Okay, I'm going to climb stairs.
So with that, it's just, we also know that there's an end date to it. With orthotics,
beginning and end. Yes.
There should be an end date to it. It's not like we're using it. And plus, like, if you're going to go grab Dr. Scholl's just because they feel good, that's something else, dude.
Oh, by the way, I found a different company. I have them in now.
Oh, nice.
So, because I wear Zero shoes. So it's like just a piece of rubber and then, shoot.
Uh-huh.
There we go. So it's like basically like that. And it's just rubber. And then I got this. They're called Tystra. My eyes are going. Joy's being older. But I put that in there because it's like this foam pad, but it feels great. But it's flat. It's all flat.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things you go, oh yeah, put those in because you're going to be, we stand most of our day.
Yeah.
The hardwood floor we're on is not exactly padded.
Most fun. Yeah.
So after 7-8 hours of running around here, you want to put on something a little more comfy on the feet. Yeah. But as orthotics, like that's a great way to look. It's not a lifestyle choice. Yeah. There is a beginning, and there should be an ending.
Yeah.
It should have a purpose-driven thing. in which you're trying to get away from. Like it's the kind of thing you want to work towards getting away from it.
Yeah.
Have it in your back pocket just in case.
Yeah.
Like put it in the toolbox. That's cool.
Training wheels. Yeah.
Right? Because I was telling him too, he laughed. He goes, well, how do I get from this shoe, his sofa cushion, to my shoes?
Yeah.
And I was like, about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the look on his face was kind of like, wait, why? I can't just go put your shoes on? I said, your feet, can I just go swim across the channel to Catalina Island? I haven't swam in 2 years. He's like, no. I'm like, I kind of like, he goes, oh, I'm like, yeah, you have to train into it. I get used to it. So
Yeah.
it's a very funny process that I don't know how somewhere along the lines we forget that process. But if you're wearing orthotics out there, the point of the story is you want to be working to get out of them.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying you have to have zero drop shoes, this and that. If you came to me as a patient, I'm going to tell you that. And I'm going to tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
If you're wearing Brooks or whatever, and you got the big sofa cushions, how do you want to get from that to a pair of Vans or barefoot? I will walk you through that process. I've done it with a couple coaches on the team.
Yep.
Once I did that, when they put on the other shoes again, their feet hurt.
Yeah.
When they put the shoes, like mine come after a game,
Yeah.
I get out of the sports shoe and I put these on.
Yeah.
It's like putting slippers on. It's like, oh my God, my
Feels
feet
good.
feel so good.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's kind of the process of it all. But that's the downside of orthotics is really you're just impeding the way the foot functions.
Yeah.
So that's regardless of whether you have a functional flat foot or born flat-footed, have high arches. It just doesn't matter because you've developed that way.
Yeah.
And usually, if you're once you have pain, I have another funny story. I've had a busy week. Never mind.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But once you have pain, that's just indicative of a problem occurring,
Yeah.
not the problem.
Yeah.
right.
It could also just be from somewhere else too.
Yeah. And I mean, so what is it? I got 15,000 steps in 3 days in a row. My foot hurts. I'm like, yeah, walking is not exercise. It's a means to get from point A to point B. That's all walking is meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
As you get older, that's different, applies differently, of course. But anybody under the age of 65 or 70, if you're active, it's just, top 3 inches, for your brain space, work some stuff out, chit chat in your mind, talk things out, breathe, enjoy nature. Totally get that.
Yeah.
But 45,000, like that's like your foot's gonna hurt.
Yeah. Especially if you haven't done that recently.
Yeah. Well, you're not used to it.
That's technically a spike in training, and usually when there's any quote unquote spike in training, that's usually where we get pain or injuries.
Yeah. It's funny. So, what was I going to tell you? Oh, so I just happened to we had a new patient come in this week, and we use the phrase check engine light. So when your check engine light comes on, it doesn't tell you what's wrong. It's just telling you something's wrong, right? We don't really know what it is. Something's up. Well, guess what this guy does for a living?
He's a mechanic.
He owns a trucking company.
Oh, nice.
So when I made that analogy and I hadn't put it together yet, he started laughing. I go, check engine light comes on. What does that mean? He goes, nothing. Just as a problem. You know what it is. And I was like, have you heard us talk before? And he's like, no, that's my trucking company. I was like, did you know big rigs come in automatics?
I thought they were all clutch.
So did I.
So
yeah, I was asking. He's like, no, the picture truck he was driving for 2 weeks is all automatic. I was like, I did not know they made those.
Me neither.
Yeah, pretty cool. Anyway,
It's not as cool, but
it was cool. I was like, that's awesome. I mean, not driving one for 2 weeks, that sounds tough. But anyway,
Yep.
So the point of orthotics is you have them for a purpose, but your goal is always to work out of them. If you think that that's going to fix your problem just because your pain's gone, you're actually going to create more problems
Yep.
down the road. So it's kind of a, use them when you need them, try not to need them.
yeah.
Try not to use them.
What's funny is that I didn't realize it until I actually got to hear it actually at the ends of my schooling. In America we use a lot of those big cushiony shoes.
Oh my
Brooks,
God.
Hokas, and everything like that.
Oh, the Hogas.
Yeah,
They seem to be getting bigger every time.
Yeah,
we
like
look
hey,
around.
like if you're running, I kind of get it. 26 miles. You try to look for some
Maybe.
others. I kind of
we'll
get
get
it.
into that mechanics
Yeah.
later, but
Like I kind of get it just because of all the impact, but also at the same time, probably not my first choice. But it's America. You make your choice. We're just kind of letting you know.
like I said, if you're a patient of mine, I'll walk you through it.
Yeah.
But if you're just casually listening to it because you're entertained or want to know about the orthotics or whatever, it's like, you do whatever you want to do. That's your choice.
Oh, yeah.
Just understand that's not how the body's designed to move.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
whatever.
But, as the Filipino guy, we actually walk around barefoot all across the house. And unless we need to put on like shoes, we're mostly barefoot.
Well, you know what they're for, right? Shoes or sandals or whatever.
So you don't hurt yourself on the
Step on a rock.
Yeah,
You ever step on a rock barefoot?
Oh, it
on your
sucks.
heel?
It
Horrible.
sucks. Yeah.
Glass? Not good.
Yeah, so
that's what it's for.
If you go in the Philippines, everyone's basically barefoot or in flops,
Yep.
right? So I didn't realize it, but my parents never really complained of foot pain until my mom started to work night shifts at her nursing job, and she started to get those running shoes. So there's padding on top of it, right? So my mom thought it was like a specific brand problem. Like, no, it's not that. It's just how it's built, right? Because
The
you went,
engineering of it all.
it's like you went to go walk around barefoot for like 25 years of your life. Then you immigrated over, then you went to the athletic shoe, and you're technically not doing quote unquote anything athletic.
Right, right. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, it's a little different. Think about the
very.
tools that you're using. And then I thought about when I was a kid, I had like a minor arch pain. So, parents do a good job of like taking me to the hospital, trying to get things figured out with the resources that they had. Like, oh, you have quote unquote flat arches, right? But then I went to go over to Vans and Converse, which technically they said would be worse for my foot.
I love that conversation.
Fine. Yeah. I felt good.
It's a mind blowing. People ask me what they should be wearing. I said Vans or Converse are fine.
Yeah.
And they said, why? I said, you just need a piece of rubber or something firm. So if you step on something that hurts you, it won't hurt you.
Yeah.
And Vans aren't great for running or jogging.
No.
If you're just cruising around, like my father-in-law switched as a dentist, all his shoes were Vans.
Yeah.
And his feet felt 10 times better.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, well, yes, because you don't.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah. So I actually told that to my parents.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, just hear me out on that one. So guess what my dad wears now? Vans. All day.
It's just, it's not even trying to be a contrarian or, butt up against the system. It's just common sense on the mechanics of the foot and how the neurology of the foot to the brain and the hips, everything work together. As soon as you stick something up that blunts that sensitivity back or that biofeedback, proprioceptive feedback, whatever, once you blunt that, you lose it.
Yeah.
And our bodies are a use it or lose it situation. There's
100%.
no
It's just looking to
gray
survive.
area. Yeah.
It's just looking to survive.
And it'll compensate. It's like if you have oxygen, you'll live for a few days. If you're out of water, you'll live for a few days. I didn't mean that if you didn't have oxygen, you live. As long as you can breathe, you're gonna be fine. If you don't have water you'll make it a few days, but the body can only suck so much H2O out of your body and dehydrate tissues before it has nothing left.
Yeah.
And then you're done. It's just the way it is.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you have things that are dysfunctional in the hip or the knee or whatever, it can compensate for 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Years before it actually kind of rears its ugly head, depending on you, right?
Yeah.
Weekend warriors, our clientele base typically don't have that problem because they're pushing themselves all the time. So they usually get there faster.
Yeah.
But if you're kind of, you do some yoga, you do some Pilates, you go for walks, but you're not, trying to deadlift 400 pounds, or you're not trying to run up hills at full speed.
Yeah.
Like you're not pushing the body to those extremes. Not that you need to, just if you're not.
But you can.
Yeah, I think it's more fun. Yeah. But if you don't do that, then you're not going to test yourself to a position where it needs and requires the body to work more efficiently.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have to, this is why I say walking isn't bad for you per se. However, it uses very little of your energy sources or stores. It doesn't require a lot of energy, doesn't require a lot of muscles to fire. Like if you're walking, your lateral delt doesn't have to do much. No. So it's kind of like the requirements for your body are slower or lower. Therefore, you can do it for longer. If you're doing a full sprint up a hill with a 10% incline, you got finite everything before you're going to stop, right? Oh, yeah. Like a blunt force trauma. Okay, I'm done for a second. Yeah. So that's what I love about Tabata stuff. It's crazy like that. But anyway, so that's kind of where that stuff comes from, where you're saying, okay, cool, I want to make sure I push myself, and that's going to land you to a position where you're like, oh, my knee, so the ACL landed wrong. I don't have that one big ligament that keeps that joint from being all over the place, and I suffered. And I got through it, and guess what? I'm back.
Yeah, and I'm not wearing the brace.
No.
So in terms of this whole concept of foot orthotics, a lot of times we've kind of talked about like overuse. Really, when I see orthotics, I think underprepared. Like the foot isn't ready to do its job.
Yeah. Or you've inhibited it for so long and then asked it to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then pain is often associated with tissues that are underprepared to take the load that it needs to.
Yeah, or deconditioned.
Or deconditioned,
Deconditioned means
way.
I'm wearing orthotics or puffy shoes, sofa shoes. And so the muscles, a couple of them, most important for the arch support, aren't doing their job or don't have to, and they just atrophy. That's just what the body does. And just for people out there, I was just thinking about this, like other things you get, like symptomatic-wise. People, we go home, and like I walk around the house barefoot, and every night I do that, my foot starts hurting. It's coming from the same problem. Yeah. So the same problem is your perfect example. Yeah. My wife, love you, honey, was having heel pain. She loves to walk. She got good shoes, right? But humans walking, it's just, we're not trying to cross the country and, resettle ourselves in Florida by foot. Different world, right? So our bodies aren't accustomed to that. So she loves to walk, and she loves to make me go walk with her, which I don't love. I love her. I don't love it. So she was we were getting to the gym. We're working out one day. That's what we're doing. And she was telling me about this, and I said, well, you got to stop running and probably stop walking for a week or two, which I thought she was going to start crying because it's like it's mostly for her mind. That's 3 kids, 2 cats, a crazy dog. I get it, right? So I was like, okay, well, can I show you something? Because I'm the husband, so what do I know, right? And she goes, sure. And I mean, it was very much like, sure. Like, what are you going to show me, Magic Man? And I said, okay, we're going to do goblet squats and kettlebell swings today. And no, I'm sorry, we did sumos. That's it.
Okay.
You got 10. You got to do 8 by 10 and 10. So 10 goblet, 10 sumos, 8 rounds. Okay. Pick a good weight. You want to be challenged, but you're doing 10 reps, but you could do 15 at that weight. It's on a 90-second cycle. So every 90 seconds, you repeat that.
Yeah.
Okay. Which takes about 50 to 60 seconds to do. So you got 30 seconds rest.
Yeah.
All right. The goal is just to get her hips active and moving, doing something, right? And I really positioned her great on sumo, so she's just all hip.
Yeah.
Finishes the workout, walks into the kitchen, grabs a glass of water, sets it down kind of in a firm manner. I'm like, you all right? She's like, my foot doesn't hurt. I was like, is that a bad thing? She's like, and then walked into the shower and cleaned up. And yeah. And I was just like, just thank you. That's all. And so marriage, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you go, how did that happen? Like, it's very simple. If your hips don't work, everything else has to overwork. That's just the way it is. It's not like I looked online and you have people come, do this and do that and do foot this and foot that. I was like, just work the hips first. Get them strong, or at least functioning.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of trickle up, go north or go south, depending on, whatever else you're dealing with. But that's one of those things. Like for you have no ACL.
Yeah.
You have to have some of the best functioning hamstrings on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't, you're just playing with fire.
Oh, yeah.
You're putting my fingers closer and closer to the purple side or blue side to see when it starts burning. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
oh boy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it's funny because, like, I've always thought about that portion, too. Like, once the meniscus and MCL kind of happened again, right? I just wanted to kind of know exactly everything that happened. So we did a couple orthos here. I was like, is it stopping because for whatever reason the ACL spontaneously healed, which is rare, but apparently it can happen based on a couple papers. I don't think that's me. Or is it just because my hamstrings are just not letting it happen?
Yeah. If done right, because where I learned that from, this is very funny. There's things you learn in books, right? And then there's things you learn with the experience.
Yeah.
Like the one great thing about being here with myself at 20 plus years, Tom with 20 plus years, Alvin with 10 plus years, Nani with 20.
Yeah.
You have so much experience from so many points of view that you as a young doc, it's like an Encyclopedia Britannica here for you. You can just, and not that we know everything, it's because there's so many of us in so many years, we know a lot. We know enough. And it's not all the answers. Don't, it's not trying to say that kind of thing, just that you have access to these type of things.
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating. I took a kettlebell course. This was, I was maybe a year out of school. And this guy was talking, and the rest of the chiros is mostly PTs. We're kind of seeing him and talking to him. I'm sorry, he wasn't a course. It was a general course for CEUs, and he was there. He had a 1 hour segment. And him and his wife at the time. And they're still married, I'm sure, but whatever. Anyway, so I got to talk to him off to the side, because anytime I see somebody like that, I'm like, I want to talk to them and pick their brain a little. Yeah. And I said, what got you into kettlebells? Because at this time, this is 22, 23 years ago, it wasn't that prominent in the world, right? Yeah. And he said, well, I actually tore my ACL. And when they went to graft it didn't take the way it's supposed to. So I went down a rabbit hole, which I love, because that means I don't have to. And he said, I found that hamstrings, like you start going through the whole mechanics of the hips and the hamstrings, how it protects the knee, like the whole point of it all, right? And then he said foot strength, single leg stuff, isometric stuff, balance stuff, eyes closed stuff, things like that. Like he would do kettlebell swings, eyes closed, one hand.
I haven't tried that.
You know what I mean? And do 10 right, 10 left, like the simple and sinister type of mentality, but eyes closed the whole time. And nasal breathing the whole time.
Nasal breathing would be the
And he wanted to stay connected to his foot and his hips the whole time. And I was like, you took kettlebell swings to a
next level.
Like, the atmosphere. You're just, you're out there, right? And he was telling me, and I was like, okay, interesting. So you had a bad ACL replacement, which that does happen more frequently than people think. Yeah. But you're a weightlifter. You like lifting weights. And so you started taking on kettlebell swings. And he was showing me stuff. And his wife was all of 5'3", 75 pounds. She whipped the 70 pound up to a clean like it was nothing. Dang. And I'm talking nothing. Just whoop. And I was like, shh, wow. And so I got talking. So that's where I got a fascination with the kettlebell. I think it has a great purpose for a lot of things too. But anyway, so someone like you is like, you should be one arm swinging a kettlebell once a week. Yeah. And you should be working your way up to 70, 80, 90 pound kettlebells. That's just what you should do. Yeah. I can say that because he rehabs at 300 pound deadlift. So I can say that.
It's not a rehab. It's just lower weight.
Yeah. The rest is just like, bleep, bleep. Anyway, so that's the fun stuff with ACLs, and you got to kind of learn. And the foot function, some people argue it's the foot, some people argue it's the hips. I'm like, I think it's just the brain and how the brain neurology fires off to-do lists. I'm going to go run. Well, here's the to-do list. I need to do these things to be able to run. Yeah. I have 12 things I need to do. 9 are operational today, 3 are on vacation.
Yeah.
So the other 9 have to take up the other 3, and then we got 9 doing 12, and it just mathematically doesn't work after a while and whatever. So anyway, back to orthotics. So those are the kind of things. So 9 times out of 10, it's foot function, hip function.
Yeah.
So you correct those mechanics or correct those abilities, and all of a sudden things just kind of go away. Because most pain has nothing to do with an injury, like at all.
Yeah.
You just develop it over time.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, 100%. Like, unless your foot's like stepped on, broken, where you kind of
trauma.
need that support, then like that'll probably be one of our first answers.
Yeah, and trauma is interesting because then your rehab sucks after trauma.
It's funny because I almost hate saying that rehab after trauma is surprisingly easy, but hard on you as a patient.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah. It's easy for us because it really does. The guesswork's kind of gone. You know exactly mechanism of injury.
Yeah.
You know exactly what was done to correct it mechanically.
Yeah.
Mechanically.
Yeah.
Mechanically or.
Yeah, I would say
Structurally.
Okay.
So you break a bone, fix the bone, tear meniscus, fix the meniscus, whatever. Structurally, and then the functional, mechanical side, that's the stuff now. It's not gray area like my knee guy who swims. Like there's a lot of variables in there.
Yeah. So that one gets a little funky.
It's like we got to, it's a little like, okay, like we talked about diagnosis in the beginning. Like here's what I think it is, but we got to steer the plane and we're not sure, there may be variables in there. So let's dig a little deeper and make sure we got all the answers.
Yeah.
So orthotics, not the greatest thing. Use them when they need them. Have a beginning and an end period. Yeah. Always try to get yourself being barefoot or into better, healthier shoes. And the best thing, truly, like working out wise, connect to your feet.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're a power lifter.
Oh yeah.
I would almost want to experiment on you.
Yeah.
Guinea pig is like, what would it be like barefoot, eyes closed, at the warm up weights, and you focusing on feeling your body pulling the weight versus just pulling the weight. He's going to get bored and fall asleep during the workout, but nonetheless.
No, I'd be interested. We'll find out today.
Because neurologically, think about it, right?
Yeah.
If I'm focusing on my foot that's grabbing the ground like just raw, and I'm doing a deadlift or a squat, even a bench in some ways, if you get that to fire, that would turn on certain systems within the body. Right?
Yeah.
It should anyway, because they're all connected that way.
Yeah.
And then you're focused on your breath and your core being active, breath patterns, eyes closed, and now you can't visually move anything with your eyes.
Yeah.
It's got to be felt. Oh,
I might have to give that a try.
Stay tuned for next week.
If you see
Why
me,
am I writing stay tuned? I wrote stay tuned. I wrote what I just said.
I mean, that's why for the most part when I'm taking notes in front of a patient, I just look at them. I said, give me like 5 minutes, write it all down, come back.
What's funny is when you ask that, you're like, just give me a minute to write this down, and they keep talking. And you're like, I'm so sorry, I just got to write this down real quick. Because then I'll start writing what they're saying now and skip what we just talked about.
I just did the same thing. I said eyes closed patients and some eyes closed training.
Eyes closed training. Yeah, I'm very curious because I do that obviously now because of my back and everything. So I'm curious to see, like for you out there, why we get you is because we are you kind of thing. It's because everything we're giving you to fix whatever, because we've all hurt something, shoulders, knees, nose, ears, fingers, toes, whatever. We've already done all these things. Like every one of my programs that I have for people doing out there rehab stuff, I've done their program. Yeah. So I know exactly what to anticipate, what's going to feel like, what's going to work like. Yep. And there are some ones I've put out there that I'm like, I am so sorry, but you need this.
No, yeah.
And this is awful. It is awful. So yeah, but if you're willing to try this for a week, and I'm referring, and this is ignorant speaking now, meaning that I'm not sure, but my thought process is the warm up segment more before you get to the heavier stuff. Until you've trained after probably, I would say, and again, I'm not telling you what to do, it's kind of like thinking out loud, about 3 months of that process before I would say, okay, now into his high rep range. Before you get your 6 to 8s, be really good at the warm up section and then try it with one set of 6 and then go back to normal. I'd be curious.
Yeah, I'd be curious too.
His high end weights.
Well, coaches have me do 8 to 12, so I hate him.
That's high volume for him. High volume, sorry, high rep. High rep, yes.
I was like, what do you mean? I signed up for this.
Why are you mad at me?
It's like I signed up for this to not do that.
Yeah, that was the point of powerlifting. I don't want to do more than 2 or 3. And it's funny, every powerlifter and Olympic lifter kind of says the same thing.
Yeah. Because I mean, it sucks because like it gets to a point where you just get. I almost hate to say too strong for that much weight. Yeah. That's the problem because like I don't know how to guess 12 reps.
I know, and the percentage thing's always fun. Yeah. To say, I know this in Olympic lifting. I don't know if powerlifting does it either, but there's a segment of coaching where it's all percentage based.
Oh yeah. Some of them subscribe to that. Some of them don't. It just really just depends on the coaches that you go with. My coach is pretty flexible, so sometimes it's like he knows that I work a lot, so it's just like, hey.
I'm sorry. What time do you get in today?
Then we don't talk about
I work a lot. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about Bruno. Any parents out there know that reference?
Yep. No, I know that reference.
We
too.
don't talk about Bruno.
That's a fun one. But he was just like, hey, sometimes you just have to RPE it and kind of go with that.
I think that's most workouts.
Yeah.
I think the goal is, if you're doing that percentage thing, is that's the goal.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of us walked into a gym and we look at our plan today and we're like, that's not going to happen. It's just,
Oh yeah.
nope, we're doing a 20-minute bike or stair climber. And that's what happened to me. I didn't have it. But I'm like, I can climb stairs for 20 minutes, so at least I get something out of it physically without putting myself in a bad position.
Oh yeah.
And then my butt's sore for 2 days. So
yeah. Oh yeah, that was me yesterday. I looked at, I call it the menu because we eat it up. But I was like, yeah, we're not doing because I had a pretty bad headache yesterday. But I was just like, there ain't no way I'm doing that heavy of an RDL for that many reps.
I know.
I'm gonna die.
I was going through my drive and I came across some of the training modalities, some stuff I'd done back in the day.
Yeah.
And I truly was like, wow. Wow. Not saying I'm like, oh, pat me on the back how impressive I am, but there's just, you're like,
There's days
I was
like,
pulling
how?
415 pounds from the ground 5 times. Like
that's a lot. Yeah.
that's a lot of weight.
Yep.
And you just look back going, if I try to do that now,
Oh, yeah.
people would think, why are you trying to move the car? Like, I'm not moving the car. It's not budging.
Yeah.
But back in the day, man, it's just crazy. And you look at some of the stuff, just some of the stuff you did and
Yeah.
the combinations. And
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah. I think there was one time where my coach accidentally, and also probably on purpose, but he didn't realize that I'd probably progressed in a lift faster than the other ones. I was PRing on 3 different lifts that day. I was like, I'm spent.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah. So if you remember that one time I came in with like that red eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was that Saturday. Yeah.
So what he means is when you do heavy lifts, one arms, especially in the powerlifting world,
Yeah.
you are definitely holding your breath.
Oh yeah.
You're trying to you're trying to, maybe it's that time already.
Yeah.
You're trying to get as much like bracing and strength and pressure. That's the word I'm trying to find.
Yeah. Intra-abdominal
In the
pressure.
abdominal, intra-abdominal pressure that you can muster holding your breath.
Yeah.
The problem is that's pressure going somewhere.
Yeah.
And usually eyeballs are a great place to go.
Oh, yeah.
Like when I did mine, I feel like I gave myself a stroke. I sat on the barbell because I actually was dumb enough. Don't do this. It's a 5x5 rep scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should have 3 working sets.
Mhm.
So it's like kind of build up 350, 365, 385, then you're 4.
Yeah.
And you're resting well in between.
Oh, yeah.
No. I did 415 5 times. So at the 5th one, I finished, I put the barbell down. I felt a little loopy. I sat on the end of the plates and just sat there kind of like collecting myself. I didn't know until a trainer walked up and said, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just catching my thoughts here." And he goes, "You've been sitting there for an hour." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You've literally sat there staring at the floor for an hour." And I'm like, I might have given myself a mini stroke. That was,
Potentially.
and I was like, what am I training for? Never did it again.
I don't blame you.
Because I wasn't training, and mind you, this is why. I wasn't training for powerlifting. I was just training very CrossFit at the time.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those strength days.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, I love pushing myself, and I love the deadlift. That's my jam.
Yeah.
But I was like going, I am not going to the Olympics. I'm not going pro.
Yep.
Nobody's calling me. There's no contracts.
Yeah.
No, what do they call that with Nike's not calling me? There's no,
you have no endorsements.
no endorsements, nowhere. And so I was kind of laughing. I told my wife that, and she shook her head like, "Yeah, it's just dumb." I was like,
yeah.
But I pulled 415 4 times."
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, "I don't care. That's like 20,000%. I don't care."
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, when mine happened, I was just at a powerlifting gym, and everything was moving well on the warm ups.
Yeah.
So
That's like the worst.
Yeah.
It's like a double-edged sword.
Friends were there, squats. I think so. I did 3 reds and a blue. I think that's 460-ish around there. Yeah, I think it's like 462. I could be wrong, but it was a heavier one. I went and I definitely got stuck halfway, then came back up. I didn't go down, but hit that sticking point, came up, racked it. We're all hyped, and then all of a sudden they're just like, "You want to throw something else on it?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go for it." Or it was a yellow and a black. Then we went to the blue.
Oh man, there's nothing worse than feeling good, having positive reinforcements around you,
Yeah,
and no reason to say no.
yeah. So.
No reason.
It went up, but I definitely was a little loopy right afterwards. Took a couple of stumble steps out.
Oh, dude, it's amazing. You're like,
Yep. Then, literally right after that, we went to bench, and kind of the same thing happened.
Yeah.
The weight that I was supposed to hit went really well, and they argued like that's not an RPE, whatever it's supposed to be, right? So it's like let's throw something a little bit more. And mind you, these are kilo plates.
Oh yeah.
So to go from one color to the next color, that's not like a 5-pound jump. No, that's more like a 10-pound, 12-pound jump.
side.
Yep.
Per side. Yep.
So we did that, hit it, and then I remember I was super loopy after that one, and I was like, "Coach still said I have to deadlift today." I pick up the weight, And I think I said it was supposed to be like 2x8 or something like that. And that was the most I've ever done for like 8 after the first set. And I was like, you know what? What am I doing this for?
I'm done. Clocking out, coach.
Yeah. But technically 3 different PRs. But I was like, no, we're not doing that. Not doing that anymore.
Dude, the volume too. It's powerlifting. Like those sports, I'll call them sports for sure, but the training for that is insane.
It's rough. Yeah.
I mean, every sport has its thing for sure. Like you got to see NFL. They were doing training stuff. Like these guys finish a 90-minute practice, then go through 45 minutes of functional training, carrying heavy stuff and flipping things. I'm like, you just got done 90 minutes in pads and helmets, mind you. They don't take their gear off.
No, it's kind of fun to watch. I was like, that's kind of cool.
It really, I love this. It's what it does. So we actually had our last OTA treatments last week. Yeah. And we got there extra early just because I'm like, just enjoy this. Yeah. Because it's rare you get to watch professionals train professional level and kind of see what they do and how they go. And it's fascinating because you think in your mind they're practicing, so they're not be going game speed, this and that. I'm like, no. That ball is going out of Herbert's hand just as hard and as fast as it does in a game. Obviously, in a game, there's more like excitement. Yeah. But it's like he's still playing. Yeah. They're running the routes just as hard as it. I mean, it doesn't look much slower. Than a real game.
If it is slower, it's like 5%.
Not enough for my ignorant eyes. Like, oh, that's it's that. It's like, do you like this Cabernet or that Cabernet? I'm like, well, they're both good. I'm cool. Yeah, sounds good to me. $5, $50. It doesn't matter, whatever. And so it's cool to watch them and then watch them exercise after and just realize like these guys are, they were doing a closed grip lat pull down. 225 pounds. And you're just
if you've ever done a closed grip lat pull down, that one sucks.
They're not easy. And you just kind of like for a minute, you're like, wow, because when you hang with them, they become normal humans to you. Like for 6 months out of my world, in my office is a bunch of small people, like Smurfs. And then on the field are normal people. And then about 2 months into about March, that switches and I'm like, oh no, you guys are human. They're the ones that are huge. Like, they're giants and you're human. But you get this like, what's the word? Almost disassociated or numbed. What's the word for it? I'm not thinking about words today. But it's like disconnected from the reality of it all. And Marco, with the head trainer there, and I were talking about this. We work with 6'7", 6'8", 6'6", 290, 350 pound men. And we're talking to them like you and I are talking right now, as if we're eye level, physically, like nothing's different. And then you go working with them and working on them, and it's like, yeah, they're bigger humans. Okay, no big deal. But then this rare moment stuff where like he had one of the running backs stand up next to him. And how tall are you?
I'm 5'4".
5'4", weighing
170 right now.
So 170 at 5'4", pulling 400 pounds on the ground, squatting for 500. I don't want to insult you.
You're okay.
He pulls a lot of weight from whatever, and he stands next to this professional running back who can probably do the same thing, but also run a 4.3 40. Run through a linebacker and outrun a DB. And he stands up next to you, and it's like, it looks like his big brother.
He's huge. I was like, dude.
And he's the average size guys in the team. And when you see him next to other people, like you're like, you just forget. You just forget how, because you're so used to it. And I actually have one of the players, a well-known player, DN for us. There's a picture, we just happen to be standing in proximity with each other. Not photo op, just being in proximity. I saw the picture. And I look at him as anybody else. I mean, he's a large tank of a man. He's huge, great player, great guy. But I look at the picture, and I'm 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. I'm not a big guy, but I'm not a small guy. And it's like, I am a midget. No offense. I'm a very tiny person standing next to this very large person. And it's just a perspective of it all. So
it's different. I mean, I love my powerlifters, but I tell this to them just all the time, especially once they start to get into their heads about the lift, thinking that they're the biggest guy in the room. I'm like, I get it. You move a lot of weight. But if you could do what you do, and you could also run a 4 or something.
Have a 38-inch vertical.
38-inch vertical, and catch a ball, you'd probably get paid to do some of the stuff
and understand all 22 positions on the field what they're doing at every play.
So
it's just different.
I think part of it's just because I do have some of that experience to see all of it. But I'm like,
how fun was that?
I'm like, oh, dude, it's so fun. It's so fun.
I looked around the first day because we're on a break now for a few weeks, but I looked over the first day. And I just saw sweat in our armpits,
I was
sweat coming down the brain. I think we've been there like 35 minutes. And I was just start laughing because I was like, now, because when you tell you, like I explained to you guys, because you were an intern for a year, then you doc a couple of years now, and it's like, you've seen me working in and out, you see me running around like a crazy guy. You hear the stories, and then you do it. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
Now,
it's
3 hours of this?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Before game, every game.
Yep.
Then stand on the sideline for 3 hours. Then a 5-hour flight
Yeah.
home. Then an hour drive
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
And then get up in the morning and go back up for 3 more hours of treating.
And do it again.
And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, I get it.
I get
it.
it. We've mentioned like the size of the thighs, like my waist, right? So it's like that
It's
huge,
huge.
right? But I don't think people realize it's not that. It's just that size. It's also like muscle. So
Yeah.
it's heavy, right?
Each leg's like 85 pounds.
Oh yeah, like
It's like an 85-pound sumo deadlift doing a hamstring.
oh yeah, it's definitely like picking up like a little kid, like where I'm like, dude, this is you got to move that and
It's
do
an
all that.
85-pound child you're holding with one hand while working the muscle with the other.
Yeah, so yeah, it gets fun.
Yeah, it was good. But honestly, I'm excited about the year. We got three or 4 weeks off right now before we kick this baby off, and we're excited. So I think we're going to bring you back for like the preseason stuff. So
We'll
a couple
find
more
out.
times to come up for fun.
Yeah.
Just because it's an experience for you, but it's more like we get more guys treated because we got 96 guys right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So they cut everybody. It is hard to get to everybody.
Yeah.
It is just
That's
hard.
fair.
And the biggest thing is when the vets come in, like there's 30 guys, 35 guys, practice squad, 25 to 30 guys that'll be let go, and they might be picked up by somebody else, or
Yeah.
it's a tough league to get into, it really is. So the vets get in there like they have to get treated because they're coming back. They need to make sure they're staying healthy because preseasons, even though they're not in the field during the games, which with Harbaugh they're probably going to be a little more.
Yeah.
But we have practices, and those practices are really intense.
Yeah.
Far more than the preseason games are for those guys. So it's like we want to make sure we get them in. So extra pair of hands is always great.
Yeah.
But we do have, as you saw in there, it is finite space.
Oh yeah.
So like he had to work on their $25,000 footwork machine.
Oh yeah.
That has like this camera that watches your body and does stuff, and like it's just sensory. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, you can't be there doing this part, so where are we going to stick you? So
Yep.
it's a funny like thing. So anyway, it was glad to have you. I was blah, blah, blah. I'm done. It was great to have you there.
Yeah,
I'm
appreciate
glad you got the experience because that's just not a lot of people get to do that.
Yeah.
Earn their trust. They respected you. Had a couple guys that waited for him over me. I don't even think they realized who I was anymore.
Maybe it's just because I'm less mean. I don't know.
It's because you're stronger. Although you did almost drop one guy, I think.
Well, yeah. Okay, so in my adjusting that I'm used to doing,
it's just different.
it's different because not only are they like big and strong, it's like their levers are actually pretty long too.
Oh, their legs, some legs are long.
Like I didn't realize that. So like the first time like I really went to adjust, I pulled them closer to me than I needed to. I didn't need to do that just because they have the levers for
You're
it.
going
Right?
to get there.
Yeah. So like if it's someone my size, I kind of get it. Like I
piece
gotta
of
pull them toward the edge just to get the lever
You can
right.
control. Well, you can also hold them up.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 300 pounds of dead weight.
Oh yeah.
That's 6'8". That's not
Yeah.
a bar. It's
So I remember
different.
when I went for it, I was like, I probably should add a little bit more pressure here. Do this on the second one. I was like, okay, I get it. I get it.
Dude, the great thing
Yeah.
is like I can adjust 20 people in a day.
Yeah.
I don't, but if I did, like with players pregame, I'll probably adjust 20 to 25 guys.
Yeah.
From the 5'6" running back to the 6'9" offensive lineman.
Oh yeah. So it's different.
I don't rip through it like this. I have to make sure everything's set up so we can get what we're supposed to do. But for your first time, it's always that. Like remember, our first time went the preseason. I was just, how do I? Whoa, this guy's huge. Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. And you're just trying to figure it out on the fly how to do this whole thing because in your mind, you know where you need to get them.
Yeah.
Now it's just how do I get this 4 foot long leg
Oh yeah.
in this position, which may have knee problems, or this hip, or this or that, and get this shoulder, which might have a shoulder problem. And how we do this, it's
different. It's different.
different.
So yeah, going from adjusting alignment to that.
Yeah.
Two
Then you come
different
to the
words.
office and you work on something. You're like, yeah, you're easy.
Well, what's funny is I think the same day I had like a 9-year-old after everyone. So I was
Oh,
like,
yeah, didn't they?
I was like, I am so sorry for what's about to happen. I don't know if I'm just gonna.
Dink. That's
It's
all you need
like,
to
I don't know if I'm gonna like completely hurt you with some of the soft tissue because I'm used to working on them right now.
Yeah.
Or
It's what's funny is they're just as sensitive.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
get that question all the time.
Yeah.
Like, no, there might even be more sensitive in some cases.
in some cases,
because
yeah.
They push themselves
Really hard.
every day. So it's just a different animal. So anyway, for all you might have tuned out, back to orthotics, we covered the base. Use them when you need them. Beginning and end. Have strong feet. Have strong hips. Make sure everything's connected. Do that. I promise you things will just feel better.
Yep.
To all my NAC girls out there, congratulations on your nationals. Safe travels to Europe, although you're already part of there. Good luck back there. Sure, it'll be fun. And we'll check in with David's eyes closed. Training.
Yeah, probably.
Next week.
Next time. Yeah.
I'm very curious about this.
Well, if you see me in a wheelchair, you'll know how it goes.
I don't even know how you do that.
Yeah. There's that much weight.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoy this. We didn't have any fun sound effects today, so we'll have to work on adding those in next time.
We'll find out.
Till next time, I'm Doc T.
I'm Dr. David.
See you guys soon.
There's that one.
I like that one.